Hey, I'm Krista Wax. You are listening to MSP Sound on KFAI. And I am so excited because I have Seymour Seymour Perspective with me. I'm so excited. I can't even say it. Hi. How are you?
Hello. Good. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's a thrill to have you here. We were just talking about this off mic, but
Mhm.
I saw you perform with one of our KFAI events for part of the mixtape. If you don't have the
Yeah,
mixtape, you can still get it.
it's
Uh,
awesome.
because yeah, Seymour Perspective performed on it, and it was so great. It was such a fun night at the Turf Club. So that
That
was
was classic. That was a really fun show. It was just like incredible acts, good crowd, and then it's like brings a tear to my eye. Just thinking about it right now. It's like I can do some outdoor stuff, but it's kind of like yeah, it's a lot.
I know it that event was, I don't know, 2018 maybe or something, but oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
We
who
had
knew
no
what
idea,
I
yeah,
know,
what was coming. Yeah.
no clue that
Mhm,
what would happen to all of us. So yes, I'm
mhm,
glad you mentioned that. It's good to reminisce. And
mhm.
as happy as I am to reminisce with you, that is actually not why I brought you on the show. We
Right.
have like even more exciting news in the Seymour
Yeah.
Perspective world. You have a brand new album coming out Friday,
Yes.
September 24th.
Yes,
The
indeed.
Jaws of Life After Death. Woo!
Mhm.
That is a title.
Yeah, thanks. Super excited about it. It's been kind of like this really interesting process of coming together. There's been a few different iterations of it. Um, and like at one point, the producer I was working with moved to Cambodia, and so it just kind of it took a minute for it to all come together. And I think it's beautiful the way that it's come to a place where it's like exactly what it needs to be for this time and place. You know what I mean? So that's been a journey and worth it, I think.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's quite a few obstacles.
Yeah.
Uh that's I feel like that's probably one obstacle on the way to get there. How much of an impact was COVID with?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was such a trip because I was right before COVID, I was ramping up to a release. I was kind of using these listening parties, really intimate, just at like people's houses, or a couple different organizations hosted some, or like, you know, more, I don't know, community spaces, but mostly just in people's living rooms and stuff. And I did that for um, 6 months, maybe even a year, between there somewhere. And I was ramping up for the official release, and COVID hit, and I had trouble with the mastering person I was working with. They kind of got weird. Their schedule got really weird and mixed up, and um, suggested somebody else who ended up falling through and all this stuff. So um, right right in March, I guess the Ides of March, that was when we found out, right? Like
Yeah.
March 12th, I think, is, for some reason, that's the day that sticks in my head. Like that was when things finally like shut down. Um, and it was super real, right? So March 20th, I just figured, well, let me share it with folks as like a preview of the album to come, and knowing that it wasn't completely mastered and that kind of stuff, but just kind of something to help folks get through. I always wanted it to be a tool for healing and for community dialogue and that kind of thing. So now I've actually upgraded my studio, and I did the mastering, and then I added a few songs. Um, and now it's like, it's complete, and it feels like exactly what it needs to be. And I'm super excited to, officially launch it into the world.
Absolutely. And with that, you have this amazing 2 night. I feel like now I'm giving it away, but it
I mean, yeah, give it away, right?
okay, okay. I know. I'm like should let you talk about it, but I'll toss it to you. But
Sure, sure.
it's so cool that you have a 2 night event celebrating this album
Yeah.
on Friday the 24th, the day it comes out, and
Mhm.
Saturday the 25th. 25th. Tell me all about this. This sounds, I mean, I've been reading about it.
Yeah.
I've marked it, of course, on my Facebook events.
Sweet.
You know, talk about this event. This sounds incredible.
Yeah, thank you. So it's this really cool project. It's kind of the inaugural project of this thing called Nightlight. And St. Paul Public Arts put together a group of artists. They applied, um, got a small grant to just meet basically online. Eventually is what we've came to. Um, but we've been learning this cool art form that is still just kind of new and growing, and some people are familiar with it and have seen it, but it's not something that happens a lot in the Twin Cities. And um, Mayumi, the person who leads the project for them, moved from somewhere where she had been a part of all these cool projection mapping festivals and stuff, and they thought we need to kind of start a scene for that here, because the cities are such a rich, so there's such rich soil for creativity here. And there's all different types of scenes and different crafts, and genres and whatnot, um so yeah, we've just been learning that it's basically three-dimensional projection, and the mapping happens because you can put video and different images um, onto a three-dimensional object. So every angle, every surface can have like a different moving image on it. And it's really cool. So there's a really cool group of artists who have been learning how to do this and experimenting with it. And our culminating event is on the 24th and 25th. And it's funny because we have these meetings and we brainstorm, and you know we update each other on what we're thinking we're going to do, or how we're approaching it, or whatever, and what are the themes going to be and whatnot. um, and I think early on we talked about, we include music and sound, and I just thought, of course, I would love that. um, and in a recent meeting, it's a while now, I guess, but um, they were like, yeah, so you like perform, are you gonna like do some stuff? And I was like, well, I could, I'm thinking about how to release this album. And they were like, oh, you should do it here, we would be so honored to have you like celebrate the release with us. um so that was really sweet and encouraging and really cool. And it just seemed perfect, because I really wanted to do something really different with this release. Like, as I was talking about, the ramp up of the really intimate listening parties and that kind of thing. I really wanted to have a release that was like, me showing up with a giant, 30-pound boombox somewhere, and just telling people to meet me, at some landmark, and then performing for them. Um, and now I get to do that, but that there's all this cool projection happening as a part of it. Um, so yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. Um, if that makes sense.
That is quite incredible.
Hmm.
I I think that is so cool. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. It's like it's gonna be really cool. So yeah, the album is all about kind of hope and trauma, and not in a weird like trauma porn way, but like really just surviving and survival. And um I think of it as this, psychedelic death trip, you know, or like that just quick moment that flashes in your brain, that lasts kind of forever, and then maybe you come back from that. And the whole metaphor of the album is, like a car wreck and that kind of thing, and the wreckage of what we are experiencing personally, um, interpersonally, politically, socially, all these things. And so I'm trying to create this backdrop, um, that represents and speaks to those some of those themes as well. um, and yeah, there's a lot of hope in it. And some of it is kind of even apocalyptic. um but there's also like a lightness to it, and there's a lot of fun in it, I think. um because it would be easy to just have it be kind of like, uh I think there's a way that we get stuck in the sadness that is kind of like I don't know, kind of like you're getting lost in yourself almost, and how sad you are. You know what I mean? It's like, but there's always more than like anything that we are experiencing. And I hope that um this album can speak to that spectrum of human experience, that when things are bad, they're not just bad. Like, things are rough and I walk outside and like the sun is shining, and I get snuggles from my cat, and these things. Like there's always the whole spectrum of experience to acknowledge, and that's very much what the album is about, and finding the fuel to move forward.
That's beautiful. And that's
Thank you.
very well said. And I mean, like, well said. I mean, you know what I mean? I hope you're okay. Let me take myself out of this. I feel like I did
You're good.
whatever.
You're good.
Anyway, I'm gonna keep moving. It is. I like, I mean, the description that you've written about the album too.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, and everything's not okay, and it's okay if it's not okay.
Yep.
And I just really like that honesty.
Hmm.
And I just really like everything you just said, in addition to it, because I'm thinking about, I've listened to the album and I really like it.
Hmm.
It's great. And it does deal with some of these like heavier topics of not being okay. But at the same time, I love that you're doing this really cool album release show with like 3D, and I'm like, how is all of this? I feel like that's just some really good not synchronicity. It's something, I'm a loss for words right now. I'm
Syzygy.
Yes, that's it. Help me find the word. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Serendipity.
Yeah, serendipity,
All of it.
synergy. Yes,
Yeah.
all of it.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
Harmonious. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like the right time. It feels like the right moment. And it's funny because for a while, um, in my mind, for some reason, like the album was so much further from completion when I hit one of those main roadblocks. Um, and there was a lot going on at the time, but then when I had a chance to kind of take a breather and reconnect with the material that I had up to a certain point, um, it really spoke to me, and it felt really poignant, and it felt like my responsibility to like share that with folks, because if it was going to affect me in that way, I it felt like it would affect at least a few other folks in that way, and have that impact where it felt really meaningful. So it just felt like my responsibility to do that, um, and kind of in a way get over myself, because you're always like on to the next thing and the next thing. It's like, oh, but this thing and this. So I had to, let's put a couple things on hold. Let's finish this properly, get this into the world, because I think people need it. And I think we need a lot of different things, and hopefully this is just something that we can add to the toolkit or whatever.
Definitely. I agree. It's been a rough time
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everyone in so many different ways. And
yeah.
I feel
It's
like,
such a
yeah,
roller coaster right now too, right? Because it's like things are opening, yay! Oh no, everything's terrible again. But actually, things are still open. Oh God, it's like it's a lot day to day, and that's just COVID, right? It's like COVID's just one of the things we've been dealing with.
absolutely. At one
Hmm.
point, it felt like COVID was the easiest thing we were dealing with, but
Yeah, it's like just stay inside. Great. Everything else though was still raging on.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, I want to talk about the album artwork because
Yeah.
that is just a very cool illustration. Illustration?
Mhm.
Drawing?
It's a photograph. So it's
Photograph.
Yeah, it's a photograph of a painted skull from Mexico. So I didn't paint the skull or anything, but it's a photograph I took of it, and um, surrounded in like lush greenery and carnations from my garden and chiles from my garden and cilantro and lovage. Um, and so I put all these things in there to kind of, it was cool because they were like, things I was using to cook with, like from my garden at the time. And it just seemed, yeah, that, having this calavera, the skull, um, all that life growing out of it and having that big broad smile on its face, um, seemed seemed like the only way to do it.
It's so beautiful and brightly colored, and I don't know. It's full of life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that like death and hardship and all of it, it really is a part of life. And so talking about the spectrum of our experience, like it's all valid and it's all here, and like it's life and death aren't two different things. It's all life, you know. So I've been uh thankful to have that perspective through all of this as well, thinking about like uh you know from my cultural heritage, Dia de los Muertos, and Day of the Dead, having that perspective where it's not, death isn't a looming scary thing we don't talk about, but something uh we can celebrate in a way as well.
Wow, it's beautiful. I'm like, you have me speechless now.
Hmm.
Not always easy. So where can people get the album?
Yeah, so seemorperspective.com. Um, that'll have links to the pre-order if they're catching this before the 24th. Um, it's going to be streaming everywhere, but streaming services are terrible for artists, so buy the album from me. seemorperspective.com, or what is it? Bandcamp.
Thank you.
Um, I forget where is it. seemorperspective.bandcamp. I feel like they have it in a weird way where you don't. It's a weird order with their name and your
Oh,
name. But whatever it is,
yeah.
see more perspective on Bandcamp. Um, but yeah, add it to your playlist or whatever, like whatever you got to do. Um, dub it from your friend if you can't afford it. um, and then get me on the flip side. When
Yeah.
when you
Buy a
when you got
t-shirt
some
later.
extra cash. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Did we talk about okay? And then the album release show is Friday, September. Yeah. I'm like, wait, what month is it? September
I know.
24th and the 25th?
Yeah,
Where is that? I can't remember. You probably
yeah.
said it, but just want to make sure everyone
Yeah,
gets info.
for sure. Actually, oddly enough, I don't think I did. So Western Sculpture Park in St. Paul. Um, it is on Marion Street. So right at the exit where it's one way, you take Kellogg and wrap around by the river in front of downtown, or left is Marion, and it's just like a block, maybe two. I think it's really only a block, possibly two off of Marion Street. And it's Western Sculpture Park. It's this cool place. There's all this history there about the big sculptures that are there. Some of them will be implemented into the installations that other artists are doing for this thing. So there's a group of 5 of us, and I'll just be one of them in my little corner, sharing my album with folks, and uh, I'll be amongst the trees, actually um, next to this giant, cool black sculpture that represents. I don't know if it's like marching or activism, but it's this giant black figure. It's got to be like a few stories tall, really cool. Maybe a couple. I don't know. It's hard to, in your mind, it's like this huge thing, and it is big and impressive. But I don't want to overstate it either.
Very cool. I don't think I've ever been to that
To
space.
St. Paul.
What? Well, some days it feels that way, yes. But yes, I'm a Minneapolis girl. And but to that sculpture park, I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever
it's kind of this hidden gem, you know. I
wow.
didn't even know about it, which is weird because, you know, I'm like super twin cities, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, and like East St. Paul, and North Side, you know, and South Side, and West St. Paul, and all these, you know, like I just kind of grew up as having that as my whole space, having family all over the place and stuff, and then living in a few different places as well. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things that's just kind of overlooked, um, unless you had, you know, known the artist or heard about, you know, some event or something. But it's this just beautiful little park. It's just a place to walk around. Like, um, I went there today to just kind of like spend some time there, but also think about the album and think about the space where I was going to be, because I'm designing it. I had to take a photo and like Photoshop in the materials that I'm going to be using to project on, which is going to be a few doors and some banners between these a triangle of trees. It's going to be very kind of like Twilight Zone, like dark door dimension to another portal type stuff, or Time Bandits. It'll be a little Time Bandity too. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those cool gems that like a lot of people don't know about. So it'll be really cool to have people, you know, have communities like reconnect with that space as well. And if you dig a little bit about the history of some of the pieces, they're really interesting and really cool. Like there's one that is, it looks like all like, it's like an American flag and it looks like all kind of like jingoistic or whatever. But from one angle, there's this big white skull that's a part of it, and it's like, wow, that's really cool and fascinating. So lots to dig in. There's another one that's a giant, um it's like, I don't know what you call, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like one of those like blowhorn things or whatever that you know, it has, it's like a
Oh.
gun that you talk through, except it's the old school one that's actually just a big cone,
Ah,
but it's giant and it's pointed at the Capitol. And when they released it, like they had a bunch of youth come and like kind of yell their ideas or thoughts or whatever, you know, through that thing at the Capitol, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and
oh
there's a
my god.
bunch of them. You can like climb around on them, and like it's just it's a pretty special little place. I think the evening is going to be magical.
Oh my, can we do this now? I want to go now. This
I
sounds
know,
great.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do a test run.
Friday is my test run, so that I don't know, think anybody wants to be there for that though. It's going to be a lot of like, oh, okay, those dimensions are very different than I imagined. Like I was telling you, spatially, like I
Yeah.
don't trust myself. You know, like how many people were at that event? I have no idea. How big is that space? I can guess, but that's not the way my brain works. You know, is to like pin that down in that way.
Mine doesn't work that way either. I get it.
Okay, good.
Like a huge statue. It's only like 6 feet. It is huge. I'm short.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that thing is huge, though. It's so
I believe you. I
I don't
believe
want to overstate it because I don't want people to be underwhelmed when they go. But it's, gosh, it's impressive. It's really cool.
you. Okay. Wow, this is so exciting. What a great way to I just I it could just be the COVID times, but I feel like all of you artists, musicians, you're just finding such creative ways on how to get your music
Mhm.
out there and how to celebrate and how to
Yeah,
release. And maybe you would have done this. I feel like you probably would have done this regardless, but this is just very cool because it will be outdoors and it will be socially distant.
yeah,
We
yep,
can keep to ourselves but enjoy this at the same time. So
yeah,
wow, that's really incredible that this whole event will be part of your album release and everything.
yeah. It feels really right, and it feels really special, and I'm really thankful, you know, for the community and St. Paul Public Arts and the leadership there, Mayumi, like I mentioned, has been really great through the whole process. So just and the artists are really cool. They're going to have some of them are going to be far out installations, um, and it's just going to be a mix of stuff. So um, it's so cool that like I'm doing this, fun big thing, and that's just like a fifth of what's going to be happening.
It's so that is so cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
the
you.
art installation and the new
Yeah.
album.
Thanks. Yeah. Don't congratulate me yet. Um, on the installation, I got a couple weeks yet, and I'm gonna need those couple weeks.
Okay. I hope I didn't jinx it. It's not like
No, no, no.
telling an actor good luck, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
or telling a dancer break a leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. I'm super excited. I can't
Okay.
wait for folks to see it. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Well, oh my gosh. Anything else? I mean, aside from a new album and an art installation,
Yeah.
anything else happening in your world?
Yeah. So yeah, I think really this whole pandemic situation was in some ways really cool and important. Like I feel like going into the digital realm with like teaching and performing and all these different things um in a just much more intentional and like we have to do this, so we have to figure out really cool ways to make this happen. That whole process allowed us to do some really cool things that I think are going to last beyond um well, I mean, at this point, it's going to be a while with the pandemic, I think, still, but um like, so I don't have any illusions about going back to normal, I guess is what I'm saying. Um but beyond, needing to be socially distant and all that stuff, right? Like um I think a lot of it is going to stick, and I'm really excited for that. And I've always been interested in like unique ways to present work and connect with community and to create an experience, because I think so much of music and poetry is about creating moments that people can like live in and experience. And then a show is just that to the nth degree, because you can have all of these things happening at the same time, with multimedia and all this. Um, so like one thing I did was I had a series of events that was I got it funded for like 4 weeks um, from not Springboard, Forecast Public Arts, and it was funded for like a month to do these performances online and connect with community and have that be like a thing that people could like come back to. And I was creating art on a theme. Um, and then it turned into this collaboration with my partner and I, Catherine Parent, who actually just got a Cedar Commission. So big ups to her. Um, and so, but we were collaborating on just like freestyling this music with the loop station. So I was beatboxing and I'm putting, bass riffs down with my mouth, and then she would layer vocals and we'd play with percussion, and it was just all freestyle. And then we would have art, um, some kind of visual art piece that I did on a theme, and then we talk about the theme a little bit or work it into the set in some way. Um, and we ended up doing that through the first 6 months of the pandemic. Um, just having it be a place that people could come back to, or even on the Sunday morning, because it was on, we called it Saturday sessions. um, so even on Sunday morning, like, hey, put it on and vibe out with us while you do your thing or whatever. And it was kind of a way to like connect to other folks, kind of being very vulnerable about our experience and what we're feeling, and really transparent about the ways that we think about it and see the situations and that kind of thing. Um, and in some ways cathartic, I think, through the music and stuff too. So like that was something really cool. And like that's there. All those videos are there on Facebook, So Saturday sessions with Seymour and Kat, you can find those through the Seymour Perspective page. But then also through that, we kind of really sank into like a way of collaborating in a way um, of creating music together that laid the foundation for some sounds that we're now bringing about. We're collaborating on a new album together. Um, we came up with a name for our band, which is Sky Spiders, or the long name is Sky Spiders and the um, that's so funny. I'm messing it up now. Um, Sky Spiders and the Imperceptible Web. Um, and so Slept Dawn is going to be the name of that album. And then I'm going to be helping her with sampling and beatboxing and beat making and stuff for her project for the Cedar Commission. And we're going to make an album out of that as well. So all that stuff is still on the horizon. Um, and I'm working with my guy, the Rube, who's an incredible DJ and producer. Um, One of his works that I'm really fond of is called Another Gone Record. As in, like, you go looking for a record, but it's gone because he beat you to it. And it's this cool, like, swing hip hop thing. It's really awesome. And we are doing a project together where I just sent him a bunch of acapellas from songs that didn't um, for one reason or another that just didn't make it on a project, or different things that fell through or whatever, or things that were moving too slowly. And I'm just like, here, take this. Let's do something with it. Um, and and he produced all around it and did some really cool stuff. And it's full of, like, Edgar Allan Poe references and sounds and Star Wars stuff. It's called Edgar Allan Poe Dameron, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. So a lot of stuff on the horizon as well. But I don't want to get caught up in that. I want to live into Jaws of Life After Death too. Um, yeah, and I've been doing a lot of visual art and shooting video and editing that with music and stuff. So I've been experimenting with that through the pandemic as well. Um, so look out definitely for more of those. Like, there's a few up. I directed some stuff right before the pandemic, um, which was a series of videos for an earlier project I did called Sex Tape, or my response to our morbidly underdeveloped sex education. Um, and like Ananya from Ananya Dance Theater, Ananya Chatterjee, features in one of those that I directed, shot by Ryan Stapera, who's an incredible visual artist, I guess cinematographer, video artist, and so that kind of helped make a way for me to, like, okay, how can I do more of this stuff? Like, I'm really interested in I don't know, being a filmmaker of sorts. And so I had these Friday film things that I was putting out, which is a kind of short series of experiments of just, like, weird footage from my adventures, um, and putting it over some of these instrumental beats that I had been cooking up while uh, in quarantine or whatever. I mean, not quarantine. I wasn't sick, but
Right.
yeah,
During the time.
yeah.
Wow. For once, I don't feel guilty asking someone that question. I always feel when I think, oh, we have a new album, we have all this. What else? Uh, I don't feel guilty for asking that.
No,
That's a
don't.
lot.
Yeah.
That is the biggest answer I've heard from anyone when asked. I mean, usually people do have things going on
Mhm.
after that, but wow, you've really been involved in way to take the whole COVID quarantine, but not being sick quarantine,
Yeah.
you know, and just really take advantage of that time and what else you can do and providing to the community as well during that time. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I made a bunch of mixtapes as well through it. So, and I just gave them out for free. I would send them to friends and stuff, and all that stuff is on SoundCloud. There's kind of one for each season. So there was one, like, at the end of the summer, and they're all themed kind of for what was happening around the time. So the one was all about kind of the uprisings and had a lot of messaging about um, activism and social justice and stuff, and cool samples from big thinkers like MLK and bell hooks and few other, amazing minds, um, just mixed with just music that I was listening to that was helping me get through and that I love. Um, and then I did a whole like kind of celebration after the election, like, hey, he's out of there. That's great. Let's celebrate that. But also like things still aren't super great. You know what I mean?
Still got
Um,
work to do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I put out these mixes that kind of capture all of that. And the last one I did was for the summer to just be like, hey, just have your feelings and just vibe out. And I just literally made a mix so I could do that and go to the beach and kind of be sad boy on the beach, taking in the sun.
That sounds great. I'm gonna have to go check those out.
Yeah, please do.
Oh wow. Okay, on
Yeah.
SoundCloud. You're everywhere. You're on all the
I'm on all the
everything.
things. Yeah,
Yes.
I started doing TikTok a few weeks ago, and I never thought I was going to do TikTok, but it's been really fun actually. It's been kind of amazing. Yeah, cuz there's all I don't know if I just got super lucky with the algorithms or if I was just careful at the beginning cuz I was like, okay, I need to like shut this down. I don't want any of this stuff, So I ended up getting a lot of like dad jokes and hilarious stuff, but then this whole like DIY like art project stuff, and then on top of that, um, like the cool political commentary and stuff. And so I've gotten this amazing, uh, I don't know, timeline or whatever on TikTok, um, and then I've been able to share my videos and stuff through that as well. Some of them just off the cuff or some things that I made to like promote Jaws of Life. What I did was I took footage from a bunch of different movies, and anytime they brought out a boombox or put on headphones, I just tried to find all the scenes that I could find. And instead of whatever they put on, whatever like cheesy 80s music they had or whatever, um, it was a song from Jaws of Life for 30 seconds or a minute or something. So you can go and check those out too.
I'm gonna be very busy now. I gotta find all this.
Yeah, yeah. Now I feel bad for answering so long-windedly about what else is going on.
No, that's fantastic. It just I have a longer to-do list now, and I hope everyone else listening does too. Like, wow,
Yeah.
didn't know I could find you on all those things. And I just barely have downloaded TikTok. So that
Yeah,
just shows where I'm at with
I
it.
get it. Yeah,
So
I get it. It was like my guilty pleasure at first, and now I just love it. And I'm just like, this is like saving the day. Like TikTok is amazing, and I'm sure there's a lot of crap on there, but it's really working for me right now. I'm having fun with it.
it's good. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll have to check in. I feel like I need to check in with you every month or something with what's going on. But
yeah, yeah. Please do.
well, yes, we'll be in touch to figure out the Seymour Perspective Corner. What's happening? What are you doing now? Where are you?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I'm gonna be in the winter. I'm planning like a tightrope walk um over Minnehaha where I'm gonna be rapping. No.
Oh,
I mean, I should. I was just trying to think of the most ridiculous thing I could think of.
you really have me. You were so casual about it too. And oh my gosh, are you
I wish
kidding me?
maybe someday. Yeah, I learned to stilt walk a few years ago, so that seems like a step in the right direction.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, what if I just walked on stilts? What if I was like rapping on stilts? That's not something you see every day,
No.
you know. Talk about being over people's heads, though. That's still want to communicate, I guess. Be more accessible than
That's smart too. Yeah, that works.
that.
Well, Seymour Perspective, one of the busiest people in the Minnesota music
Mhm.
scene right now. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming on the show and
yeah.
check out
Thank
the
you, Priscilla.
album Jaws of Life After Death coming out Friday, September 24th, along with the 2 nights art installation at I already forgot the name of it, but it's it's a block off of Marion from I do know that spot, or I mean, I
94.
know the intersection. I
Yep,
usually
yep.
go to downtown St. Paul. So
Yeah, like
Never
some
go
of the
the
old school St. Paulers will remember like the Sears over
yeah,
there and
okay.
stuff. The DMV is over there, that nobody should ever really go to because it's so busy. I would rather just drive an hour to some random suburb and go handle my business there. Um, but yeah, Western Sculpture Park.
Western.
The event is Nightlight, and you can find that online. And you can find more information about it at seymourperspective.com and the Facebook page and Instagram and all that stuff. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Again, thank you. Congrats
thank you
on
so much.
the album and the art installation
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
maybe that tight roping.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
keep my
feel
eye
like
out for
I kind
that.
of need to set that in motion now, or maybe I already have.
You have. I mean, you said it out loud.
It'll be
It's
my
out.
greatest and last performance.
No.
The follow up to Jaws of Life After Death.
I mean, that would be ambitious. It would be really ambitious.
Yeah, I think I could do it though. With those balancing things that they use, those balancing
Oh,
rods,
yeah.
and on either side, I could have like speakers hanging
Oh,
and then wrap into like a little mic that's connected to them.
you have it all mapped out.
Yeah,
I
yep,
think I think you should. I
yeah.
support you.
Silver spandex suit, uh, like an El Santo luchador mask.
No,
Yes, silver cape. Mhm. Yeah, this is it. This
it's
is
it. You heard it here first.
it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, MSP sound exclusive.
Yes, yes. This is the hot gossip I'm looking for. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure and
Oh, it's my
congratulations.
pleasure. Thank you.